first, we're going to take you to Bangladesh and the Tripura Para piped water and sanitation project. Applause for the first film. Thank you. Dibalok, great to see you. You are the Executive Director of DSK. Amazing video, I think, to show overcoming a really challenging situation, 500 feet, where young girls are walking 3 hours to find water beforehand. But really, your organization specializes in providing water to these sort of hard-to-reach, challenging areas as well, right? Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Thank you, Tom. Actually, as per our organization's strategic plan, we work in different difficult and hard-to-reach areas. Like in Bangladesh, we have Chor island areas, we have coastal areas, and we have difficult access of population in slums of Bangladesh. Mm-hmm. Actually, this settlement, in our time, they were devoid of access to regular water service. There is no electricity in this settlement. There is no pathway. And there is no sanitation. And there is a very limited access to a tiny stream of water coming out of the local adjacent hill. So it was our kind of commitment that this organization was founded to work for the disadvantaged population in Bangladesh. So we thought that we must be able to be successful to bring regular water service to this settlement. And our experience of providing solar-powered piped water supply in Rohingya refugee camps, that actually pushed us to install this type of water system in this community. And for that matter, actually, we first engaged with the community to make them understand and make them believe and feel confident that this type of system works here in Bangladesh, not something anywhere else.
So that was the initial resistance, almost convincing them that the system would work and giving them the confidence to know that your organization would be able to deliver that.
Because previously they had this bitter experience of some other organization to bring water supply to their homes, but that was unsuccessful. So it was initially difficult for us. And another difficulty was this hilly area that is being leased to a private owner. And it was our duty to convince private owner that bringing permanent water supply services will not hinder his interest. Because he was then thinking, okay, now they are bringing some legal services, permanent services, and then these people will demand that this land belongs to them, and then where he will go. So he was suspicious about this. But we convinced him that, look, we are working for the benefit of these people, and if you allowed this to be materialized, then that will bring also glory to you. People will remain more respectful to you that this landowner, he is flexible and he allows to improve our life. And believe, and as the video went on, that imagine yourself that you don't have any water in your home and you have to travel 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer to fetch water, and that water is not easily coming out to your pot. You have to bring water to your pot, then sip by sip, drop by drop, you have to fill your pitcher, and then you had carry that picture to your home every day. And this actually uh, falls on the shoulder of women and adolescent girl. That is a very difficult situation. And in this video, when I see that this woman who is opening her tap and becomes very happy, smiles, actually that brought tears in my eyes. Because when we started, it took us during COVID time, we started that, and it was a very difficult period. And going to that settlement is also very difficult. Bringing all the construction materials to that site on head was a really, really tough, challenging job. But
Dibalok, thank you so much. It's interesting to hear, and especially how rewarding that was to you, and really the challenge of helping to convince the landowner as well. So we're going to hear a bit later on about some of the collaboration and the partnerships involved. So thank you for the documentary. Dibalok, in terms of, then let's come back to you, the power of video to help spread, to drive engagement and awareness on these different projects. Talk about how you kind of see that within Bangladesh and the project that you've just worked on, and really giving those communities a voice as well.
Thank you, Tom. Actually, this tool, actually, you need to identify an audience for which what type of tool is more effective. So in our experience, we actually take this type of video on hygiene education to the communities who are not that literate. So they cannot follow, or they cannot read, or they were not in even school. Or women, they were kind of, they are disadvantaged, so they were not in school. So they actually did not went through the schooling process and learning about the biological changes in their body. So in those type of situation, if you bring a video, or we take actually Pico projectors, there is a small type of projectors which is easy to operate in a slum settlement or a remote settlement or remote village. And there you play that video, and then it invites attention by the settlement dwellers or even women, and gets, because it is difficult for them to read and to know all these things. But I mean, and also for the school children, because we also work with the schools, and there we bring those information on menstrual health management, on hand washing, on different sanitation issues. So there you bring the direct impact of a video to be shown there, and then immediately people realizes. Or even today, I was looking at a video here at the exhibition here in this conference, how a mason can put a sato pan. What are the steps? And then you bring that video to the community. Often we find that the masons are not that much trained on standards of sanitation. So that also helps bringing, improving their understanding of why sato pen is better than a normal Indian pen. So I think in that specific space, either working with the communities who are really disadvantaged, who are poor, who are not that much literate, and also with in our experience with the school children, to make them more sensitive, more aware about the issues related to hygiene and related to sanitation and related to safe water supply. So those are my kind of understanding in relation to. But for the reports, actually, the people who are at the top, they actually read sorry to say that, report that they have no time, so they read executive summary. and that's it. But not about the academics, because academics, their bread and butter is their thoughts, and they are based themselves on the data. And they actually go through data, and then they establish the truth, what is the actual real truth. But for the audiences who are normal public, who are not that much literate, who are not that much sensitive or aware about the problems that relates to the sanitation, relates to the, we call it environmental enteropathy, in terms of where there is no sanitation. The children body is fighting with the worms ingested into their body, and all of their energy is going to fight that infection. That we call environmental enteropathy, and that is the problem of nutrition, and that brings stunting and wasting in our countries which are not that developed. So I mean, you have to find out the strength. This tool has its own strength, but when you want to apply that strength, that is important.
You have to know the community, know the purpose, know the ambition, and then use it effectively.
Exactly.
We're going to come on to a bit of discussion on sort of impact of the videos and the projects as well. But I'd like to just get a couple of questions, if we can, or comments from the audience. I'm just going to go into high definition very quickly. Give me a better view. There we go. Do we have any questions? There we go, the bright lights. We must have a couple of questions. Here we go. If you could just say very clearly where you're from and who you're addressing, that would be great. Oh, can we make sure the microphone's on, guys?
Can I comment on
Please
this?
do. Yeah.
Actually, this is my submission that in a given community, in a given poor community, yes, people are getting mobilized and they take care of their own system. But I feel that there is a limit to it. Say, for example, in our instances, we set up a system and which is run through solar power. But if the solar system is somehow damaged, it is really difficult for them to repair that. They may take care of simple repairs, because in our example, they actually have their own meters for each of the connections, and for their meters, they know how much volume of water they used in a month. So they deposit a certain amount of money. But the capital problem, capital measures, that is, if we leave that on their head, that will be not a justice. Because there is a government, there is a local government. They also operate on the tax system. And worldwide, more than 96% of the cost is being shouldered by the national governments in WASH. So, yes, it is true that operation and maintenance depends on the community mobilization or on the active participation of the people who are using that system. That is okay. But I will submit that there is a kind of demarcation line between the local people, because what we are essentially talking is about the users who are really poor. We are not talking about the middle class, or we are not talking about the people who are rich people and the rich community. And in my country, if you look at the budget used by the national government in WASH, first of all, it is really difficult to understand where from this budget is coming, number one. Number two, as the facility improvement tool that was, screened today, there also in my country, in a healthcare system, let's say in a sub-district healthcare system, there is no engineer. So you have to find out that engineer from Department of Public Health Engineering. So what I am trying to submit is, yes, it is true that our communities, they are quite innovative, they are quite interested, and if you explain different things, they will engage themselves because it is their problem. Without water, I cannot imagine myself. Without toilet, I cannot imagine myself. In my home, we are 3 people and we have 3 toilets. And we are prescribing for the people who are living in slums or squatters or hard to reach places. How many people? I work in Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh, and each toilet brings 40 people. So I fully agree with you what you are saying, but I like to submit to you that there is a demarcation line. Yeah. And there comes the role of the local government, there comes the role of the utility agency, and there comes the role of national government and their political will to make the system functional.
Dibalok, thank you for the viewpoint there on the sort of, I think, agreeing that there needs to be decentralized responsibility for communities to empower themselves, but at the same time, when technical operation and maintenance support is needed, there is the support there. Okay, that's a good point. So we've got a couple of minutes left. I would like just to hear from each of you very quickly within a sentence, and I promised I wouldn't do any curveballs, but well, broken the promise. But just in terms of a parting thought for the audience on the power of video to communicate WASH, what would be your parting wise words? And we'd like to just work through everyone. I know, so apologies, I just thought I'd throw one out there just for the last couple of minutes. Dibalok, let's hear from you. We have to be very quick.
On my side, actually, this was a pilot from our side, the video we screened here. And there we brought the technology, number 1. Number 2, it is easily you can operate that in a remote, hard-to-reach places where there is no electricity. And then there is a community mobilization. There is women who took the lead in that project. Mm-hmm. And it is also the principles of inclusivity already. And this conference theme is, if I may read, that seeds of change, innovation, solutions for a water-wise world. And what we demonstrated, that in our place there was no water for them. Mm-hmm. And they were living a life of ancient time. At the same time when in our country, in Dhaka, in rich areas, one person used 500 liters of water, whereas these people were not having even 10 liters per day. So you see, what is the disparity? And that disparity must go. And it is possible that this disparity withers away. And only the solution that we brought before our government, that they may think, and there is no dearth of resources, but there is dearth of political will to support this group of people.
Dibalok, thank you. So to paraphrase, we need to rid the world of water injustice and disparity. Yes. Very good.